Hey, what's up you guys? Josh here with the GoKaioken channel, and today I'm actually set up in my game room slash office, and I've got the Traxxas Bandit on the table because it's a little bit too warm out in the garage. So I wanted to make this video so I can keep the content rolling for you guys, but today we're going to be doing an assortment of RPM upgrades for the Traxxas Bandit. So let me go ahead and move the camera in a little bit further so you can see exactly what we've done so far and then what we're going to install in this video. Alright, so the only thing that we've done so far is put the RPM transmission housing on. I didn't do a video for that, but I'm sure there's some other videos that you could look up and see exactly how to do that. But normally this RPM wheelie bar mount would not fit correctly with the stock transmission housing for the Bandit. So I bought the RPM one because I knew that this would work perfectly for that. So RPM housing is installed. That allows a little more durability for that. And then this RPM wheelie bar mount fits just perfect on that transmission housing. It removes the need for those two little side pieces that went under here and would usually either pop off or collect grass. So this is nice and smooth all the way through the bottom here, and the wheelie bar is completely straight. So let me show you what else we're going to be installing in this video. Front RPM A-arms. So that's going to replace these stock ones with the RPM 73282. We have front bulkhead. So this fits the Slash two-wheel drive, Nitro Slash, and Bandit Rustler Stampede two-wheel drive. Part 73752. Next we've got the rear arms. You can see Nitro Rustler, Nitro Stampede, Nitro Sport, and Bandit 80492. Next we've got the RPM shock tower brace, Stampede two-wheel drive, e-Rustler slash two-wheel drive, Bandit, and Nitro Stampede 80852. We've got front bearing carriers, and these should reuse the stock bearings. Oh wait, no. They require the 5x11mm bearings. Requires 4 of them, so goes on both sides. We did get some bearings, so anyways, 80372 fits the e-Rustler, e-Stampede, Bandit, so the electric versions of those, Bandit slash two-wheel drive, Nitro Slash, and it tells you which bearings are required. For the rear bearing carriers, electronic Rustler, electronic Stampede, Bandit slash two-wheel drive. You need 4 of these bearings as well, 5x11mm, 80382. And I purchased these ball bearings tbrrc.com, 5x11, and I guess if you wanted a specific part number, it's X000VHEYTB. You can see there, hopefully you can see TRB RC 5x11 by 4mm for Traxxas. So it specifically says it's made for Traxxas. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. I'll start by taking the body off. Probably the easiest thing to go ahead and do would be the front bulkhead, shock tower, and arms all at the same time. So I'm going to get my tools out. We'll get started by using a 2.5mm hex driver, removing these 2 screws up here, and then we'll flip the car over and remove these 3 screws right here. And for the removal process, it's totally fine to use a drill. If you're going to use a drill to reinstall things, I would say go 95% of the way and complete screwing it down with a hand tool. I'm going to shift the camera to the right so I can pull up a chair. Then I'll get my drill ready and start taking the other screws out. You know what we'll do, actually, before I continue, is wheels on both sides. So let me go ahead and do that. Now these wheels just have this locking nut here, and then be careful when you pop the wheel off because there will be a little pin right here that will slide out. From here we can go ahead and pull the wheel pin out from the back like that, and we'll set all of this to the side. I'm only going to remove the front wheels for now just so we don't get any of the pins or anything mixed up. And if we start taking too many things apart without installing the new ones, then we might get mixed up with which screws go where. See, that pin fell right out. Alright, so these 3 screws that came out of the bottom of the bulkhead are shorter than the 2 from the top. So just remember that when you go to put everything back together. Let's flip this back over, and you see this mostly comes off. We just have these steering links on the end here. Put a socket on this end, and then this should be a 2.5 millimeter, I'm sorry, 2 millimeter hex bolt to take out the bottom. If we get this front off, alright, so I forgot to mention this earlier. So these pins actually have washers on the end. So right here, keep that in mind. So if you take those pins off, there's washers on the outside of those bearings. Gotta make sure that we put those back as well. Alright, so socket on this end, 2 millimeter hex tool on the bottom, and then we'll detach those steering links. We'll grab this, should have came with your Bandit, and then we'll grab a 2 millimeter. Alright, there's that. And then this should just come up like that. We'll do the same thing to the other side. And since we're going to be replacing this end as well, I'm going to go ahead and remove the rest of that screw. Alright, so the car we're going to set aside for now. You can see the 2 steering links kind of hanging out. And now we'll focus just on this. So, as far as the easiest way to go ahead and do all this, there's really no preference. You just start taking things apart. Just keep track of your screws, and if you want to follow along with this video, you certainly can. I'm going to take this front plate off using these 2 screws here, and what I think I will do actually is grab our new bulkhead, and as I take things off, I'll just transfer it over to the new one. Now this bulkhead allows you to add some weight to the front end if you want to. So that's what this is for. Just goes in, looks like this, and then it comes with a single screw to hold that on. So if you were wondering why this comes in 2 pieces, you can fill that in with like some really heavy putty or some weights of some kind and help weigh down the front of your vehicle. But I'm not going to do that right now, so I'm just going to screw that on by hand. I can get most of it. There we go. Alright, so took the plate off here. I'm going to transfer it over. Make sure I am using my old one as a reference, and we will screw this back on right here. Oh, you know what? Those are the rears. These are the fronts. Okay, these are the rears. We'll set these aside, and that's trash. Let's Let's grab our fronts. Okay, here we go. This is why we watch these videos, right? So we can see exactly how it's done. All right, now you can see in this case, they do provide a couple of screws. So this should be for the shock mounts. And if we compare, that goes right in there. It's not for the arms. You can see it doesn't fit anyways. These are for the shocks. Okay. Now these actually don't say left or right, and that's because they should be interchangeable. So you see RPM here. If you flip it around, you see RPM there. So just match it up with the stock ones, and you're good to go. Now when we go to put this on, you see that that is the right ones. Okay, so we're going to take these pins off here. Now they are held on with this C-clip, so you'll have to get it off and be careful not to let it fling. So we've got our two C-clips. That's for the shocks. We're going to take this front piece off and then slide the rest of that arm out the back, or rest of that pin out of the back. Same thing here. Okay, so on the new one, we'll grab one of our arms, slide this pin from the back through the bulkhead, and we'll put part of our front plate on, and then see if we can push this into place. Okay, so once you have that on, just kind of spin it around, make sure that it did truly catch on that pin. We don't want that falling off later, but that looks good. Same thing on this side.